but Saatchi is they're massive. And for them to host this for the 6-7 weeks or whatever they're hosting it, and allow people to come in and get a kind of feel for what it was for us. Because it's very easy for us to all go, oh yeah, well we know, and so was involved, and I know this DJ and da. But if you're average person who wasn't even born then, if you're 20 years old now and you want to know what we all got up to, you can come here and get a real flavour for it. This room is about listening to the music, and you've got these Spotify playlists here where you can just get involved and listen to the music that we were all into. But I was quite surprised when I entered into this room because there's so many of my works in here. We've got Helter Skelter, Dreamscape, you've got the Beyond Therapy Babies. Now they took everyone by surprise really. Obviously they're babies and they're cut in half, which upset some people. But the idea obviously is that they're happy, they're in this psychedelic, spacey, dreamy background, and they're cut in half. They're beyond therapy. I mean, it does what it says on the tin really. But I remember a police officer at the time was handed out one of these. I've told this anecdote before, and he said, what is wrong with you people? As he's been handed a flyer. The idea for me was that I wanted people to see it as just a freeze frame of a moving world, right? So the idea is that you've got the flyer and it's like, well, I want you to wander around in there. So they're getting this flyer at 6 o'clock in the morning after coming out of the sanctuary perhaps, and so they're in the back of a car and they're looking at that and like, what is wrong with PEZ, what has he done this week? And they're looking for the little spider I might have hidden or whatever, and they just let them go on a journey because they're in the right state of mind to be doing that, right? So there we are with that PEZ. For me, I wanted to just kind of take them on their own journey and let them make up their own mind. Obviously I know what I thought they were and what my intentions were when I was painting it, and sometimes the flyer had a life of its own. As I was painting it, it just sort of kind of grew into something else. So I started off with an idea, and it would change as it painted. But yeah, it was really supposed to be a window into a world, the world of PEZ, that you were supposed to kind of wander around and make up as you went along, really. And I would paint something that was in my mind for somebody, then it would be so good, I'd be like, can't really give that to them. I know who would want this. And then I'd end up showing that piece of artwork to somebody else, saying, what do you reckon on this? Do you want this? Be the next one. And go, oh yeah, PEZ, we've got to have that. Then I'd have to paint another one for the other. So these are the kind of things that went on in the background, really. Shenanigans for people that looked after me, really. You couldn't afford to do what I was doing on a computer. No one could really, that would have cost a lot of money. So what I was trying to do, I was trying to create something that kind of had that game, that Sega game cover look, that computer generated look, and all in all, just to kind of look futuristic, surreal, bit twisted, just a bit off key, just a bit disturbing. But then obviously the colours and the products that I was using to produce it, we discovered that this particular paper works with this particular mask film, these particular inks, and so then that lent itself with the materials and the way we went about it was to give us that style. At the end of 1990, it just went crazy. I mean, I remember in '92, there's out of the say 14 flyers for different things that were going on, like 10 of them were mine, and it was just like, wow, that's a lot. But a lot of the designs were quite simple then, whereas when I got to the Helter Skelter ones, some like 10 years later or so, they would take me a month to produce. So, but at that time, it was just crazy. Everyone wanted a PEZ flyer. And what I found is there's two sections of people that appreciate my art from the scene. They're the people that were there and actually, were old enough and were, messed up in that time. But then there was the next generation, when the record shops were all over the country, when the flyers were going into all the record shops, the tape packs were prevalent, the jackets were being bought, the record bags. When it was at its height, there was kind of 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds that couldn't go to the parties, but they were buying the tape packs, stealing the flyers from the shop, collecting the flyers, swapping the flyers, and they are probably more devoted to the genre than perhaps their older brothers or uncles or whatever who actually were in the fields in '89, '90, because that they took more interest in the design on the tape packs, the flyers, and bought the jackets, and they were kind of in waiting. So when the late '90s came along and they could go out to say Helter Skelters or Dreamscapes or whatever, they were already double keen, and they probably know more about my artwork than than a lot of other people who were there.